Good evening, everyone. After reading Motivational Interviewing by Miller and Roenick, I realized that the number one motivational interviewing trap that I tend to fall into when working with youth in the juvenile justice system is the wondering trap. This happens the most when I'm trying to build rapport or when the youth or their guardians or family members tend to bring up multiple issues at once. My natural instinct is to just listen and to follow their lead. However, if I follow so closely that I lose the original direction of the meeting, or I end up not being able to complete my assessments in a timely fashion, which then leads me to being behind on everything that I need to do for my job. Miller and Roenick describes motivational interviewing as being like dancing, where both people move together with a rhythm and intention. However, they also pointed out in the text that if I'm only following along, that the sense of direction is easily lost. I noticed this within my own self. When I try to stay connected, I can actually drift away from the initial focus by doing too much listening. Because of this, the wandering trap isn't harmless. For one, the wandering makes the session feel less purposeful. Sorry. For the youth, many of the young people I work with are already skeptical of the system, and when conversations start to drift, they tend to disengage pretty quickly. It becomes harder for them to see the value within meeting with me, and harder for them to be able to explore and for me to help them explore their own motivations for them to be able to change. Losing that focus can have serious consequences on every one of the youth I work with as they're on state probation. If I'm not able to guide the conversations effectively, a youth may not make the progress that is needed to remain in the community. So we might lose focus of exactly what the courts is asking for them to do, as well as if they're following their rules in terms of probation. In some cases, this could also contribute to them being placed within juvenile justice custody, where they're going to be essentially in like a juvenile justice prison for youth. Instead of being able to allow them to stay at home in the community to work on themselves and any issues that we should have been addressing from the beginning. Another problem is that wandering weakens the motivational interviewing process. Instead of evoking change talk, I may unintentionally reinforce their ambivalence or spend valuable time on topics that doesn't help them move forward or in the right direction. It doesn't help them progress in their treatments and their court-ordered requirements or the goals that I'm trying to get them to envision and to take up on once I'm out of the picture. When my meetings end up losing their structure, I miss the most important highlights to be able to get these youth to see their strengths, to get them to support their own values, and to help them see that the choices that they make connects to the goals at hand. Things that are especially important when I'm working with these juvenile justice youth, because ultimately we don't want them coming into custody. Because of this, I've been working on ways to try to avoid falling into the wandering trap. One strategy that I've been using is setting a clear agenda at the beginning of my meeting. I usually tend to now ask the youth what they want to focus on and what they hope to get out of our meeting together. If there was anything important that happened that week that we need to discuss first, like for example, if someone got in trouble at school, someone ended up relapsing, new charges has been taking place, or if there's other things in their life, breakups, family problems that is causing them not to be able to complete their task. This gives us a shared direction from the start. I also use reflections and summaries to bring this conversation back when it starts to drift away. For example, I might say, well, we talked about a lot today. Is there anything that we talked about that feels the most important to you or that we really need to hone into to make sure that we are meeting the goals that are set at hand? This allows me to redirect the conversation without shutting the youth that I work with down. Lastly, I tend to remind myself to stay aligned with the motivational interviews for processes, engaging, focusing, evoking, and planning. When I move through those steps with intention, the conversations stay more focused and the youth then tend to stay more engaged. I've also been trying to utilize this working with my team and getting them to also see the benefits of looking at these different traps. Overall, I think becoming aware of my tendency to fall into wandering trap has helped me grow significantly in my motivational interviewing skills by using a clearer structure and staying grounded in the motivational interviews course processes. I'm creating more of an effective, meaningful, and productive conversations with the youth I serve as well as my team that I lead. I hope that everyone's had a wonderful weekend and has a wonderful upcoming work week. And I want to thank every one of you all for listening to my rant today. Thank you guys.